different kind of video than I normally do, but it just kind of sounded like a fun idea, so I figured I'd do this. So, in other fandoms of mine, there's always those, like, different types of fan videos and lists and things, and I realized the lip balm community, nobody's really ever done this. So, I took it upon myself to make some observations about the community and try to make my own list like this, and it's definitely by no means all comprehensive. I'm sure that there's types that I missed, and if I did, let me know in the comments what I missed. But, it's also not in any way, shape, or form supposed to be derogatory or accusatory, and I am definitely not singling anybody out. If you feel like I am, it's probably just self-consciousness, but no, this is not supposed to be pointing out any individual people unless I specifically name drop, and even then, it's not supposed to be accusatory. It's mostly just that I'm trying to make a clear example that I know you guys will get. So, yeah, that. So this is not supposed to be mean in any way, shape, or form, and you'll probably fall into multiple categories. I certainly do with this, but yeah, I just thought this would be fun, and I'd like to hear you guys' feedback on this, and like I said, whatever I missed, let me know in the comments what other categories of collectors that you can think of that I didn't come up with. So we're gonna get right into it. So the very first one that we have to list off, just right off the bat, is just the casual consumer. And this is where probably 99% of the population falls into. These are people who own like 1 or 2 chapsticks, that's it. They're not in it for collecting, it's like a basic necessity thing. Everybody has 1 or 2 around somewhere, and that's that for them. And that's totally cool, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, most people on the planet probably fall into that category, but just for the sake of categorization's sake, I had to include it, so that would be like level 1. The next category, and this can go for any level of collecting, I would consider to be the secretive collector, and I think a lot of us have been there at some point in time. Some of us are still there, but a lot of us eventually reached a point where once we found out how prevalent this kind of collecting is, we didn't really feel a need to be secretive about it anymore. But the secretive collector is the type of collector who they don't really want anybody to know that they collect lip balm other than other lip balm collectors. I mean, some of us feel like it's an embarrassing thing. Some of us just have really big collections that we feel like people would criticize us for if they had any clue how much we had. I mean, there's any number of reasons. Like, they think their friends would tease them for it, or if they're still in school, they feel like people would find out about it, and then that would be like the object of ridicule. I get it. Trust me. I've been there. Up until probably the last few years, I was there like most of my life, so I get it. Trust me. And that's totally okay, and that's totally your right to be secretive about it, and some people never leave that space, and again, that is totally alright. It's just another subset of the community. This one probably should have come before the last one, but the baby collector. These are always adorable to me, and this goes along with most fandoms in some way, shape, or form, but in this community, it's like, usually they're really young collectors, like preteens, or sometimes even just little kids, and like, they don't have that big of a collection yet, usually. Some of them actually are massive collectors, but the baby collectors, usually they're pretty young, they have a very cute, small collection, and they're super proud of every single one they own, even if they only have like 10, it's like their pride and joy, and it's so adorable, because we can all remember back to that point. It's just like, oh, that's so cute, I remember being like that, oh, my heart. And yeah, again, like I said, with most fandoms, this is a thing where we can all remember starting out at that point with any fandom of what it's like to be new to it and just being so excited about every bit of it and being so proud of every little thing we had of that fandom. Again, it warms my heart. Some people might be annoyed by them, but I just think they're adorable, so. The next category could be good or bad depending on the way that it manifests, but I would call it the bandwagoner. The ones that they didn't really have that big of an interest in lip balm in and of itself, but because maybe all their friends collected it, they wanted to get in on this just to fit in, so they started collecting basically just to be a part of the thing. They're generally, like, the trendy type people that as soon as, like, another trend comes along, they pounce on that, like, how many people in this community did we lose when slime became a thing? I rest my case. Or with the squishies, like, people, like, dumped the lip balm for the squishies, or there's been so many things like that where you can weed out the bandwagoners pretty quickly because they'll lose interest for the next hot thing that comes along, and again, this is not accusatory, it's an observation that it's a thing, like, they come and go like a revolving door, and that's okay. I mean, like I said, we weed them out pretty quickly. Some of them, like, we make friends with and we stay friends with them, but a lot of them, they kind of just disappear out of the community, and we don't really know where they went. They just kind of disappeared one day, and some of us find out later on that, oh, they started collecting squishies instead. Okay, fair enough. Another subset that used to be a really big thing, but lately I don't really see too much of it, so I don't know if it's kind of a dying breed, are the lip balm traders. They're the ones that, some of them are really pushy and those aren't so fun, but I mean, a lot of them, they don't want to buy or sell, they want to legit trade for another product that somebody else has, and I never was really into it. I think I've only ever traded with, like, maybe 2 people ever, just because I find it easier to just buy them and not have to worry about, did something get lost in the mail and now somebody's pissed? Yeah, I don't have time for that headache, but other people love it and they live for it, and that's great for them. But yeah, like I said, I haven't really seen much of that lately. I kind of feel like it's dying off, and that makes me a little sad that, even though I wasn't involved in it, it was fun watching other people do it, but it is a subset of the community that I felt is worth mentioning. And as I mentioned the traders, I have to mention the sellers, the people who literally buy out, like, an entire store's stock of a certain thing just to sell it. And they usually do it at an inflated price. It's a double-edged sword because it's thanks to these kind of sellers that I am even able to attain a lot of the things that I have bought. But on the other hand, it does annoy me that they jack the prices as high as they do, because then that just becomes, like, the eBay norm. When they see that people are successfully getting that price for a thing, they jump aboard and they start doing it too, and it just goes up and up and up. 5 years ago, it was nowhere near this bad. It has spiraled and skyrocketed, and it's gotten kind of ridiculous. I mean, I get why people do it, especially younger collectors do it, because sometimes it's like their only means of income when they're, like, too young to babysit or, like, have a job of any sort. So I mean, I get it. It's annoying, but I get it, and I mean, to be fair, sometimes that is, like, the only way I can find certain ones, so I can't knock it too much, but at the same time, being somebody on a limited income, it is annoying that they jack the prices as badly as they do, but I get it. Then there are the entrepreneurs, the people who start their own lip balm companies. Generally they're organic, some of them find ways of doing it where it's synthetic. I guess they're, like, Vaseline based, but yeah, I mean, I have lots of respect for the people who do that. I mean, I run an Etsy shop, so I totally get it. I'm an entrepreneur, not of lip balm. I mean, I get it, but yeah, it's another subset. It's not one that you see in huge amounts usually, because I mean, a lot of people will dabble in it and then they get overwhelmed, or they get bored, or they figure out it's too expensive for too little payoff and they just bail on it. So they're kind of flash in the pan companies that here today, gone tomorrow, you know the types, but there is a fair amount of that in the community too. So I mean, I feel like there's enough of them to where it does warrant its own category on this list. So then, we have the brand queens, the ones who just hardcore love a specific brand, or like a handful of specific brands, where they want to collect every single thing that that brand has ever released. And I mean, like, one good example of this, really, would be, like, Lissa and Beauty with, like, the Revos, which, again, this is not accusatory, her collection's actually pretty impressive, but, it's just, like, an example that I feel like anyone who'd be watching this video knows exactly who I'm talking about and what I'm talking about. Good example of it. There's lots of smaller scale examples of this all throughout the community, too, and I definitely have my own brands that I latch onto like that with, so I definitely also fall into this category to a much smaller degree, but yeah, the brand queens, as I call them, they are definitely a thing. Similar to the brand queens are the completionists, and they want every single thing from a brand, like I said, like the brand queens do, but they're not necessarily loyal to a specific brand or just a few brands. They want to just collect all the things of all the things, and again, I kind of fall into that category too, so I'm not picking on anybody, I get it, but it's a similar, like, probably a sibling category to the last category. Like I said, most people will find themselves in multiple categories throughout this list, but they're very much entwined, but they're not necessarily mutually exclusive to one another. Then there are the competitive collectors. They may not necessarily be a brand queen or a completionist, but, caveat, they see other people getting things and then they see the thing and they're like, it's new and shiny and I want the thing because this person has that thing, therefore I must have that thing. Anyways, they also can be the types that just want to have, like, they see this person has X amount in this collection, therefore, well, I need to have one more than that person just so I can technically say I have a bigger collection than that. Or just collectively their entire collection as a whole needs to be bigger than this person's. I mean, it's so stupid on one level, but on another level, I am that person, so I get it, and I see lots of people who also fall into this category, so, again, this is not me accusing anyone of anything, it is definitely its own category on this list. Then there are the social media collectors, the ones who will, like, open, say, an Instagram. Usually it's Instagram. Sometimes it's a Twitter, sometimes it's a Facebook page. But usually the mode I see it most often on is Instagram, where they'll open an account solely for their collection, solely for lip balms, and they'll post any number of things pertaining to collecting on there. It may be every single thing they buy goes on there. They may post reviews to it, maybe not. Some of them just do pictures, that's okay too. But yeah, I think the social media collectors definitely earn their own spot on this list. They're not necessarily fake collectors, that's a separate thing I'm gonna get to, but no, these are just people who seemingly, like, their main focus on the collecting is the social media aspect. This did not turn off. Well, since I mentioned the fake collectors, I may as well touch on the fake collectors next. The fake collectors, there's a few ways that I've seen this one manifest. Some of them will, like, open what appears to be a social media account and look like the last category until you realize, like, all their photos are stolen from elsewhere. And none of this stuff is original material. It's a fake collector. I don't know if it's for the, like, fake popularity that comes along with it, even though they get sniffed out really quickly and people will shun them the second that they figure out that it's fake. So there's that. It's really not worth it to fake it. There's also fake collectors in the sense of they're similar to the bandwagoners in that they just want the accolades. They don't really care about the thing. There's a few people that spring to mind where, like, they actually will go out and buy the things. They will even, like, sniff the things and tell you what they smell like, but literally never, ever use the things. And they have a reason for that, because they want the accolades that come along with the collecting, but they don't want to mar the product by using it because they want to be able to offload it and sell it, or trade it, or however their means of getting rid of it is. Not in the trash, usually, but that would make me sad if people honestly just throw them away. But they want to be able to, like, offload it quickly as soon as they get bored of their fake collector status. There's not too many people I've seen do that, but I have seen some people do that. I'm like, wow, that's kind of scummy. There's only, like, one or two things on this list where I honestly do feel like they're bad categories, but most of them aren't bad, but this is one of those where I'm like, if you fall into this category, you might want to re-examine your life decisions. Then we have the reviewers, which, you know, very obviously me. Obviously we review the things we buy, or we get sent, or whatnot. Some people are lucky enough to have the brands send them the things they review, and that's cool. I am Unfortunately, not that lucky. Most of the brands are kind of scared of me because I am honest in my opinions and I won't just blindly kiss ass. But like I said, this isn't necessarily just the people who get stuff for free. This is anyone who reviews the stuff that they get, be it through buying it, be it through people sending it to them, be it through the brands sending it to them. They review the things that they have. That's pretty much the only qualifier for this category, is that you review. They might be YouTubers, they might be bloggers, they might be Instagrammers, they might be all three, they might be a combo of any of these. But at the root of it, they review the things they have. So, like I said, this is the only qualifier for this category, is that you review the things. That brings us to, like I said, the other kind of bad one on this list is the lip balm snobs. And there's a few ways I've seen this one manifest. This is not necessarily all-inclusive. I'm sure there's other ways people have been lip balm snobs, but, one way that I've seen it manifest are the people who just are in it to brag about, look at all the stuff I have, and they seemingly only collect it just for the bragging rights. That's kind of scummy, you gotta admit. There's the people who seemingly go out of their way just to buy really rare or foreign things that are hard to get just so they can brag that they have something that you guys don't, but look at me, I do. And yeah, never mind that I spent like $70 on this one thing, but I have a thing that you don't, therefore I'm better than you. Yeah, they literally do have like an I'm better than you attitude about it, and that's why I feel like this one's a bad one. Should you fall into this category? Again, luckily I've not seen too much of this in the community, but there are a few instances of it, and they are kind of scummy. That's not to say that anyone who buys foreign or rare products are snobs. There's plenty of people who aren't that buy those things, but the people who buy it just for the bragging rights and just to lord it over like 99% of the community so they can make themselves out to be better than everyone, those are the people I'm talking about. The other, like, very clear instances I've seen of the lip balm snobbery are the people who will only purchase, like, all organic, all natural, fair trade, this, that, and the other, cruelty-free, this, that, and the other products only. Caveat on that. There's plenty of people who do only buy those products that are not lip balm snobs. Here is the caveat on this one being on this list. The people who do that are only doing it for the supposed social points they think they're getting by doing that. It's just like the people who go vegetarian or vegan just to look like a better person, just to virtue signal. Same thing here. It's the people who do that just to look like they're better than you that fall into the snob category. The people who do it for the health benefits, or because they're against testing on animals, or this, that, or the other, or because they have, like, allergies to lots of things and synthetic ones, therefore they only use these, those are not snobs. Those are totally legit and just reasons to only buy those things. You are exempt from this category. You do not fall into the snob category. The only ones who do that fall into the snob category are just the ones who want to look like they're better than you. So, just saying. There's a very, very hard line in the sand of people who are totally fine for only buying those products, and then the people who do it that have bad intentions of why they did it. So you knew this one was coming. You probably knew it would probably be the top level on this list, and yet I have one more that I'm putting after it. But the lip balm hoarders. Yes, there are many of us. A lot of us who are in this community definitely fall into this category, and your collection may not necessarily be that big in comparison to other people's to fall into this category, but compared to, say, the casual consumer, I think a lot of us would fall into this category. So just saying, it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's definitely a category, and I think it's one of those things where it's all about perspective. If you're looking at it from a collector's standpoint, it would take a much more extreme level to be considered this. but as an outsider looking in, almost this entire community would be guilty of this one. So, like I said, it's all about perspective and your own personal limits or your own personal views on what constitutes just a normal collection and what constitutes hoarding. So, and then finally, the last one that I am including on this list are the famous collectors, the ones that they're not necessarily in the Guinness Book of World Records, although I think a lot of us kind of have that goal in mind, but they're the ones that most people in the community definitely know and are aware of. So people like Lip Balm Queen, or Lip Balm Addict, or Purple Stars 02, or Lissa and Beauty, like the people with the really big collections that everybody is well aware of, and they have big followings. Those are like the famous collectors. Some would argue maybe I even fall into that category a little bit, but I don't think I'm really one. But a lot of people make me out like I am, and I'm flattered, but I don't think I really belong in that category. I'd like to, but I don't think I'm there yet. But there are a very small handful of people who actually do legit fall into that category. The weird thing, though, is that the people who fall into that category on YouTube don't necessarily fall into it on Instagram, and the people who fall into that category on Instagram may not even be on YouTube. So it's like there's different famous lip balm collectors depending on what avenue you're on. Like, even if you go to bloggers, there is people who'd be famous there who aren't on either of the other two. There's one, oh, what is her name? What was it, like Bunny Cookie? Like, basically she has one of the biggest lip balm, or not lip balm collections, but lip smacker collections, specifically, in the world, and has some of, like, the oldest, rarest ones that a person could have, and it's very dedicated collecting, and she's very well known for it, but I think she only has a blog. I don't believe she has an Instagram. I don't believe she has a YouTube. Similarly, like, on Instagram, some of my favorite people, some of my favorite collectors are only on Instagram. They don't have either of the other two things. Like myself, I have YouTube and Instagram. I wouldn't say I'm particularly famous on either one, but I don't have a blog anymore, so there's that. So there's any number of combos here, or you can be exclusively on any one of those three. It's all good. But yeah, so there's that. So those are the categories that I was able to come up with just through observation of the community that I feel like are the prominent ones that stand out. I'd like to know, what did I miss that you guys can think of? Please leave them below in the comments, because I'd like to know, because I racked my brain trying to think of every subset, really. And there were ones that were similar enough to where I was like, nah, that's kind of just this, and this is kind of just that under a different name. So, I mean, if there's anything that I glaringly missed that should have been on this list, leave it down below in the comments, because I feel like there has to be more that I did neglect to include that should be here. So anyways, that's about it for this one. So as usual, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload, leave comments down below, either to tell me what I missed, if y'all loved or hated this list, what category or categories do you fall into? Like I said, I fall into multiples. I'm sure you fall into multiples. I'd like to know what combo you're in, as well as anything else you feel like leaving me. And if you like this type of video and want to see more of this type of thing, let me know, because this is kind of experimental for me, because it's not really what I usually do, but it's kind of fun getting out of my comfort zone once in a while. Anyways, make sure you follow my social media accounts. They're listed down below. And if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, the donation link, as always, is in the description. So anyway, guys, till next time, bye-bye.